Welcome to Connect Canyons, a podcast sponsored by Canyons School District. This is a show about what we teach, how we teach, and why. We get up close and personal with some of the people who make our schools great. Students, teachers, principals, parents, and more. We meet national experts too. Learning is about making connections. So connect with us.
This is Superintendent Rick Robbins, and welcome to our Canyons podcast. This morning, it's November the 12th, and super excited to kick off this week with the 5A and 6A state football playoffs at Rice-Eccles Stadium. And I've got two very special guests here with us today to preview the 6A semifinals this Friday. We've got Coach Eric Kerr from Corner Canyon High School, and we also have Nick Robbins, the head coach at Mountain Ridge High School. And I just want to point out a couple of things before we get started, and got some questions for both of them. Also in the 5A semifinals, Canyon School District's involved. We've got Brighton Bengals will be taking on Springville High this Thursday in that 5A semifinal. So I want to congratulate Coach Cetera and the Bengals. As you know, Coach Cetera also was the D coordinator with Coach Kerr over at Corner Canyon, so we want to congratulate him and the Bengals as they take on the Red Devils, which I happen to be a former principal at Springville High. So we have all kinds of ties in the playoffs.
That's cool.
This weekend. And just want to point out, really appreciate both of these coaches joining us. I think two of the best in the state. And, you know, every once in a while there's these moments in sports that transcend the game. And I think this week is one of those. And I'm speaking selfishly. It's an interesting storyline being the superintendent in Canyon School District, where Corner Canyon High School is, but also being a very proud father of Nick Robbins and head coach at Mountain Ridge. And just two amazing coaches and stories. Coach Kerr's coming into the game. I believe this is our 8th straight visit to the semifinals at Rice-Eccles. Corner Canyon's coming in at 11-1, and also Mountain Ridge comes in as region champions for the first time, also at 10-2. And so lots of people are asking me, you know, what's that going to be like for you, Rick, on Friday? And I'm just so humbled and inspired by both of these guys and all that they've done in their football careers in their respective schools. And so for me, I think Friday really does kind of transcend the game. It's one of those moments in history that, you know, me and my family will certainly remember, and it's bittersweet. One team has to win, one team has to lose. But there's nobody that's more proud than me of both of these programs as we go into the semifinal. So just want to start out for both of you guys. We know how hard it is to get to the rug. You always hear coaches talk about getting to the rug and getting to that semifinal matchup. Only 4 teams in 4A, 5A, 6A ever make it. And I was talking with Nick about this just a few days ago. There's so many schools and coaches, including myself as a head coach, that never got to experience that never even got close to it. And so I just want you to take a moment. We'll start with you, Coach Kerr, to just reflect a little bit on what it means for your program and the community and Corner Canyon High to get to this semifinal matchup. I also just want to give a shout out and thank you to both of your administrations, Principal Kohler there at Corner Canyon and Principal Bartholomew at Mountain Ridge. I mean, it takes full support from everybody involved to make it happen, but just reflect on the impact and what it means to get to Rice-Eccles Stadium for your program and the school.
Yeah, we talked a little bit after our game when I talked to our team about that, and just not take it for granted. Like, it's something that you have to really maybe just take a moment and recognize like what it's taken to get there and appreciate that. Like, it's a lot of effort. The kids have put in a ton of time, not just throughout the year, but in the off season, along with parents, along with our community, along with our, like you said, our administration, people around us. It's a team effort. It takes a lot to try to get there, and to be able to do it is a big accomplishment that you want your kids to appreciate, and be able to take that step back when that does happen and appreciate those moments. Because like you said, it doesn't happen very often. You know, I was a part of some teams as a head coach where we didn't make it, or where we lost in the first round or second round and haven't been able to quite get there for multiple years, and same when I was an assistant. So I think you have to take those times and really just appreciate it, and just it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. There's a lot that goes into it. So that's a really good point just by you to kind of reflect on some of those. I think sometimes as coaches, we are so quick to move on to the next thing. Oh, we got to do this now. We got to do this. I think sometimes in football as coaches, we don't do that enough, where we pause, reflect a little bit, and appreciate some of the things that have taken us to get there. And even maybe some of the years, you hear coaches that are out of it now that, wish they could be back in it, that they were coaching. And I think as a coach, sometimes to reflect that and appreciate that you're in it right now and that this is what you get to be and be more present while you're here, I think is awesome.
Hey, Coach Robbins, just reflect on a little bit. I cannot imagine what that excitement's got to be like at Mountain Ridge High this week. At first time at the Rug, I'm sure, your student body's going to show up just like Corner Canyon and just enjoy the moment. But what's it got to be like in the halls at Mountain Ridge this week as you gear up to take on Corner Canyon?
Yeah, like Coach Kerr said, I think it's really easy to forget that, we have earned this moment, you know what I mean? And what I didn't realize is how big of a impact it has on not only the football team, but the drill team, the cheer team, the students that want to get out of school to go to the game. It's kind of cool to see these kids being excited for something at school, because there's a lot of things that they're not excited about school. And yeah, we're excited to be here. And I know Coach Kerr's a frequent visitor of Rice-Eccles Stadium, but we're excited. So
it just impacts so many students and families and community. Totally believe on Friday morning, both Harriman and Draper will be completely ghost towns because everybody in those communities will show up over at Rice-Eccles to support their teams. It's one of those things, too, that it just makes high school great. Football, really is the front porch to the start of the school year. And so I think for both of your student bodies and your communities, this will just be a great day to be had by all. So just to build on that a little bit, and Coach Robbins, we'll start with you, but talk a little bit about your season just in perspective, maybe some of the highs and lows that you've had this year through adversity and whatnot. And then just for both of you, talk a little bit about the state of high school football in Utah. I mean, as I look at 6A football, it's death row. You got Sky Ridge and Davis and Lone Peak and AF and Lehigh and Harriman. And that's just off the top of my head, right? The list goes on. But over the years, for me anyway, the level of talent in our state in high school football, maybe just speak to your season and what that's been like. Just this morning, I was looking at next year's top recruits that are coming out of the state of Utah. And the list goes on: BYU, Utah, USC, Texas A&M, which both of you have, multiple players are going to play at the next level. But it's just been so impressive to see high school football in Utah elevate to where it is and the level of play that you guys are involved in. So maybe talk about your season in Utah high school football.
When I got the job, I wanted to make an emphasis that we wanted to play a pretty tough preseason. I'm a big believer in getting yourself ready. I think that if you play a pretty easy preseason where you're playing teams that you're going to beat, it doesn't get you ready for those playoff moments where you have that adversity and you got to battle back, or we're going to end up running into a Region 3 team at some point in the playoffs. And if you don't experience that and feel that where there's a lot of talent on the field, then for us at least it's going to negatively impact you later on in the season. And so early on we took our lumps. Skyridge got us. We were able to beat Lehigh, and then Davis got us as well. So we went 1-2 to start the year, and I feel like those 3 games really helped us. And kind of it really gave us a gauge, okay, this is where we're at. We got to get better at these things. We got to be able to do this to, be able to compete with those teams. And then I'm really proud of how we, you can't really control who's in your region, but I'm really proud of the way that our guys, came in and week out and competed every week with our region, and we ended up winning the region. I'm just excited that, and I think it worked out. I think it worked out where, with the tougher schedule early on, I think it helped us out later on in the year because we played Riverton in the first round and our quarterback got knocked out and we scored 2 touchdowns on defense. So, these kids are resilient, and if they didn't have that adversity early on, I think it would have backfired on us. So.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've watched both of your teams play this year, and I think one thing that really stands out to me is just the level of toughness. Both of your teams really excel at hitting and playing tough and playing physical football. So, I think that's a tribute to both of you and just the cultures that you're building. So, Coach Kerr.
Yeah, season-wise, we try to do the same thing. We scheduled the team out of Florida. Some of that was because it just gets tough to schedule sometimes, but we were looking for some good quality opponents, and they were a good team. And then we just faced some adversity, like flight-wise, game time-wise, lightning delays, like a ton of stuff there. But I was proud of the way our kids worked through that. And then playing Liberty out of Arizona, who's got a great defense, was really good for us to work through. And then we had a big setback, right? We didn't play well against Lone Peak, and they got a really good football team too. And, we didn't take care of the ball. And I think it kind of took our kids back a little bit, made them focus a little bit more on just the day-to-day operations of what we're doing, and then also just kind of making sure that they're ready to play each week, and kind of got going again through our region, especially after that first game. I think our kids have been pretty well locked in and have done a good job improving throughout the year and just getting better and accepting like our process of what we're doing. But like Coach said, you got to go through some adversity and some tough stuff. Playing good schedules, I think, is the key, especially early, to help get your team ready to go playoff time. And we were excited to get back into Region 3 and felt like that's always been good for us when we were in it before. And then we jumped out of it for a couple of years. But we did similarly, like when we were in another region, we played a lot of those teams just like he did early, right? 3 of the top teams in the state through their schedule, which I think is huge. I think it prepares your kids, even though your kids don't see it at that time. They grow so fast from those situations. You have to put them into some tough spots to get them to improve and get better. And they'll appreciate it. I think Coach Leach used to always say that, like, you don't get better by stuff being easy. You get better, and it's more fun through hard things to prepare your kids.
Really appreciate what you guys do, and Coach Kerr talking about the process. I watch your teams early in the summer, and you hear coaches say that all the time, that you don't win championships in June and July, but it's necessary, right? You got to put the work in, and I think that teaches our kids, a great lesson just about resiliency and perseverance, and anything that you want to achieve, you have to put the work in. It's not just going to get handed to you, and I think that's probably one of the great values of this game that we love so much. This Thursday's the semifinals. In the other bracket, Skyridge will be taking on Lone Peak, so you both have common opponents there. And then the championship will be next Thursday, November 20th, also at 11 a.m. at Rice-Eccles. So I want to just kind of wrap up, talk a little bit about the game and just a few of your players. I think it starts off for both of you with the quarterback position, and looking at Helaman Kasuga and Jackson Hunt, I think 2 of the best quarterbacks in the state, both with yards close to 4,000 yards passing, both over 30-plus touchdowns. Both have amazing weapons on the Mountain Ridge side. Titan DeJong, Graydon Dumas, multiple yards and touchdowns. Also Cohen Cunningham, and then on the Corner Canyon side, Jason Mayberry, Kai Meza, obviously a great year, recent Cal commit, Lucas Jackson also. And then in the running game, Zach Ofisa, Weston Briggs, and Jackson Kruth. These guys have put up big numbers, but it starts with the quarterback position, both between 65 and 70% completion percentage. Obviously, we know Helaman's committed to Texas A&M. Jackson is just a junior. So I know football fans like me are super excited to watch these guys get after it on Thursday. But maybe talk a little bit about your offenses, and then, kind of the unsung heroes of those offensive linemen in the trenches. I've watched both your teams. They're both big. They're both physical. They're both going to bring it this Friday. So maybe speak to a little bit about your offensive game preparation and some keys to the game there. Coach Robbins, we'll start with you. Yeah.
All right. First of all, I want to praise Coach Karen. I'm a big, I look at stats and stuff, and I think you guys are averaging 25 yards per attempt on your. Is that what it is?
Per completion, but not
completion.
Yeah, attempt we're right around 13. We try to be in between 11 and 14 on attempt.
And that's great. That's as far as our quarterback goes, he went through the ringer this last offseason. When I got here, they had a previous starter who had started the previous 2 years, and when I got here, I just said, nobody's job is safe. Nobody, you're gonna have to earn it. And time and time again, Jackson Hunt always, because you want your guy, you want your quarterback to be the guy that says, "Hey guys, we're throwing it this time. Hey guys, hey, hey, coach, can I come in and watch some more film because we're installing a new offense? Time and time again, Jackson Hunt was always that guy. And, and ended up separating himself to where, late into July, I was like, this is our guy. And even though he hadn't started, and so, and I made that tough decision, and the other guy ended up leaving, which is whatever. But I just, really want to praise him because he completely earned what he has. Everything, and I really believe that, I'm going to use him as an example for future players that I have because it wasn't always easy for him. Like early on in the summer, like I don't know if you remember in the 7-on-7, I was going 3-to-1 reps and he was getting the 1 rep, and he never flinched. He never said, "Coach, what do I got to do?" Blah blah blah. He just showed up over and over and over. And then we voted for captains, and he was overwhelmingly the favorite. I mean, everybody voted for Jackson Hunt as captain, and that was kind of the clear message to me. He's been awesome.
Yeah, and I just would comment on that too, Nick. What I've seen with Jackson, again as well with Helaman, both great leaders. I mean, tough as nails, but you just see their control in the huddle on the field and the respect that they gain from their teammates. So definitely lessons learned. And I might mention, Coach Kerr, before we turn it over to you on offense, both Jackson and Helaman can run the ball. I don't think people give them enough credit, but they're both 300-plus yard rushers besides the fact. So just, great athletes. So, Coach Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, I think we try to sometimes not run him to try to protect him a little bit too. Like we've tried to be a little more careful. He went down with an injury last year, so we've tried to be kind of a little more smart with him and rely on our running backs. And we have some good ones that we've tried to use a little bit more. But yeah, just Coach Robbins has done a great job with the Hunt kid. Just watching him in film and like really, I mean, we didn't really know about him going into the year, because they had their other kid back who had been a 2-year starter, and just his like development and how well he's played. And he just seems like he's got he's just calm, good poise, stares down pressure and delivers some good balls and has a good command of their offense. He's been fun to see just his development and put up crazy numbers this year and getting the ball into some guys' good hands, like number 4 for them, the Cunningham kid's electric, especially when he gets the ball in his hands. But just he reminds me of a couple of our undersized guys, like back at Jordan High days, that put up huge numbers. They were just tough as nails, like change direction guys, go up and attack footballs, just competitive as heck. He reminds me a lot of those guys. He's been like just one on film where you're like, you got to, make sure you're prepared and understand the type of player he is. And then Helaman's just been awesome for us, just a really good leader. Been super steady in his preparation and in his approach to the game, and even just his calmness in the game, I think is always really good. Especially, I'm a little bit fiery as a coach, so sometimes, he reminds me where I got to keep my emotions down a little bit with him, because he's just so calm and does such a good job and trying to learn and help our team and encourage our guys around him. And we had a little bit of a unique situation where we won it last year with a kid who was back this year as well. And so we've tried to do a little bit where we get them both reps, and just to see them support each other as much as they do has been crazy and awesome to have that from both quarterbacks. And both great leaders. Both are captains of our team. They were both voted by their peers. And then the guys around them too, like our receivers have done a really good job. They've worked their butts off on trying to get better each week. We got a good receivers coach, AJ, that does a tremendous job getting those guys ready. And then our line's been great up front with our 2 tackles. They're returning guys from last year. Eason Tafa is our left tackle, and then Will Chandler's our right tackle. Have been doing a really good job and working hard and not missing practice and showing up every day. Not, even though they're dinged up a little bit, where some guys will try to sit out, they fight through that. Their process has been really good. Along with, Robbie Whalen, our interior guy, and our right guard, Jack West, and our left guard, Overstreet, and Micah. Those guys have all you can't give your line enough praise. Those guys have done a great job. And then defensively, I love the way our guys are working over there across the board, and our defensive coaches preparing them. It's just fun to see. That's the great part about football. It's so much. Like Coach knows, like you got to do so much, put everything together. And like that's why I think it's such a special game. And football teams are so close and coaches are so close.
I just mentioned, you mentioned defense coach, Mason Wood, Jaden Pierce, Tate
Yeah.
Patterson. I mean, some of the standouts
Been
this
awesome
year.
for us, yeah.
I mean, really making plays and racking up tackles, and especially for loss. And on the Mountain Ridge side, Cutler Whitaker, Cole Ulave, whose father happens to be an assistant principal.
Yeah, he's a good one.
In Alta High, so there's a connection there. And then also Bridger Butterfield on the Mountain Ridge side, on the Sentinel side. So maybe Coach Robbins, maybe you want to speak a little bit to defense too. And I think we're always talking about all three phases of the game. I think when we get this late in the year, as we've seen in years past, the kicking game especially can really be a big part of the outcome, especially when the weather gets a little bit crazy. Coach Robbins, a little bit on the defensive side, if you want to talk about that, and then we'll wrap things up here.
Our defensive coordinator, Jackson Peck, he's done a phenomenal job. I didn't know him before, and he had just sent me an email, and it was funny because in his email, what's the header or whatever, it says defensive coordinator job. And then he puts in parentheses, I am not Dave Peck's son.
Okay.
And it was just funny
because
heard
that way too many times, I'm sure.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, we got him, and then we got the Matagi brothers here. Ev Matagi, I know Coach Kerr knows him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They've done a tremendous job. We would not be here without our defense. I mean, we beat Lehigh 9-7.
Yeah.
Again, the Riverton game, our defense scores 3 times, and we win by 14 points. And there's been games where they just get those crucial stops when we need them, you know what I mean? And they've ended the game for us many a times, and I just can't praise them enough for their preparation. And then it's funny because our defensive coordinator posted on Twitter, I don't know if you saw that, Coach Kerr, because the Weber State job opened.
Oh, yeah. We were laughing about that.
He said Coach Kerr needs to take that job before Friday.
That's pretty funny, actually, by him. I was laughing.
Yeah. So, we have
that's great.
Ultimate respect for your offense, Coach, and your defense, too. It's been interesting watching film on your defense. You guys got a lot of dudes, and your defensive coordinator does a good job, mixing it up. And, with those different type of coverages, it's going to be a challenge, but we're excited. So, yeah, defense, I'm literally not sitting here if we don't have a good defense. So, all the props to those guys.
Yeah, I look at, both of your outputs. Corner, well over 50 points per game on offense, and Mountain Ridge, well over 35 points per game. But you're both stout on defense. Corner Canyon holding teams defensively under 13 per game, and Mountain Ridge under 20. So both of you are going to come into the game, stacked and well prepared. I think it does, it always comes down to just a few of those keys with turnovers and what happens in the trenches, and then a few big plays here or there usually make the difference. And sometimes that's in the kicking game, as we've seen at Rice-Eccles Stadium. So any last comments on keys to the game, and then we'll finish up.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Coach had talked about, I think, defensively, I don't think you get here unless you're good on defense anywhere across the board. I think like our defensive guy does a great job, Coach Gardner, and then our defensive personnel does a really good job. And it's the same with them. Their 2 inside backers love to fly around. Their outside backers fly around. They got some good D linemen. Number 99 is really good for them. So I think you just get here because of that, those type of defenses. Their Coach Peck does a great job. He's mixing coverages, and they've done well. You could see in their games, they've held people down. They held a good Lehigh team, which offensively is super talented. I mean, to nothing really. I mean, and then their Riverton game was crazy just to see how many turnovers they created, and they did a great job creating those. And their guys, fly to the ball and play with reckless abandon. So I think being able to control that's going to be a big key for us. And then obviously just taking care of the football is huge. I think and Coach would probably say the same thing, because it's the one stat that honestly matters is just you have to control the turnover game, and you have to try to win that turnover game and take care of the football. That's really the one key. I mean, we all talk about everything else, but it's really the one thing that matters more than anything else.
Yeah, you're relying on 16 and 17-year-olds.
Exactly.
Take your chances.
Exactly.
All right, Coach Robbins, keys to the game.
Yeah, I think Coach Kerr hit it on the head with taking care of the ball. That Riverton game, our defense created turnovers, and our offense created turnovers.
Yeah.
So we're lucky to get out of that one. I think for us, being able to, Corner Canyon's a physical team. We always talk about here matching physicality and being able to, not let teams lean on us, and we'll hang our hat on that. We want to stop the run, obviously, and they got a great offense as far as throwing the ball everywhere. So, it's going to be a great challenge, and we're just, I feel like we're the team that doesn't have anything to lose, so we're going to play loose and be who we are, and we'll hang our hat on that. So, but much respect to you, Coach.
And to you, Coach. Yeah, it's been awesome to see what you guys have done in your first year. It's crazy. Big congrats to you.
Appreciate it. But, yeah, you guys are the standard, and we want to match that. So, appreciate you.
So just to wrap it up, I got one final question for you. And I know we're all in this business for young people and trying to build up a new generation of kids to take over our country and lead our nation. And you're both leaders of young men, and you're building them into that. But if you want to share a final message with our student athletes, and it doesn't have to be football players, this is any of our kids in either of our schools or districts, but just talk a little bit about the impact that activities and football has had on your life and your family and the benefit, and just some advice that you might give, young people out there. I mean, there's so much going on, and so many of our kids are struggling with lots of different issues. But to me, that's one, as you mentioned, Coach Kerr, and Coach Robbins, that's kind of one of the beauties of activities, and not just football, but sports in general, or whatever it is, whether they want to get involved in the band or this or that. But what's a message that you might share about the impact on your life and your family that might be helpful to a young person out there that's listening to us today? Coach Kerr.
An opportunity to work with kids and help them in different ways besides just the football scope, or I think any activity where you get an opportunity where kids are struggling, especially you see more with mental health, which is a close one for me through, myself, my family, and other people around me, has been something that has been a focus for me, and to work through some of those things with some kids that are struggling and need a little bit of help, and something beyond the game where I can help some of these students out differently besides just from an athletic standpoint. And then I think activities tied in with that help them a ton with that, gives them something, gives them a purpose, something to maybe concentrate on that's beyond, maybe their own struggles, and then they learn some tough things by maybe persevering through some of those hard things that they deal with from either that sport or from that activity. You know what I mean? You have to, if you don't earn a starting job, what's your response to that? Do you keep getting up? Do you keep working hard? Do you keep trying to, push through and try to get better? So I think that's helped a ton, and something that's been great for me and for my family, and then being able to have my own kids that I've been able to coach and push through some of those tough times and adversity too.
He was stating exactly what I would say. I think that our principal, Brady Bartholomew, he always talks about whether we're in sports or just like in the classroom, we're dealing with everybody's prized possession, their children, and everybody has that much value to their parents. And I think we can, as educators and coaches, match that and make kids feel like they're wanted, that they're welcome, and it goes a long way. And I think the game of football does that for kids, because you become a part of something bigger than yourself.
Thanking both of you for being here today. This has been, really special for me, for selfish reasons as well, just to be superintendent here in Canyons, but also father to a great head coach and rising star in the profession, Nick Robbins over at Mountain Ridge. And as I said, very excited to be part of this historic moment on Friday. I don't know that this happens that often. Hope you all out there that are listening will join us Friday at 11 a.m. at Rice-Eccles Stadium for this titanic clash between Mountain Ridge Sentinels and Corner Canyon Chargers in the 6A state semifinal. So thanks for joining us today on our podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Connect Canyons. Connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Canyons District, or on our website, canyonsdistrict.org.